Viewers, you're watching The Explosive Exclusive with me and Navika Kumar, and today we focus once again on the unreported aspects of the Sushant Singh Rajput case. Now, all channels have missed this linkage, and it is throwing up, viewers, some very, very serious questions, Navika. Some very serious questions. There are lawyers who have come forth and said that a complaint was made to the Mumbai police back in February, which has gone unheard, and there are inexplicable commercial links. Navika, let's break this down for our viewers.
Well, the biggest issue that needs to be investigated is that if the family of Sushant Singh Rajput, which yesterday came out with a complaint and an FIR filed with Bihar police, which is why the Bihar police was in Mumbai between yesterday and today, why has the Mumbai police not so far come on record to say anything about the complaint filed by the family with the Bandra East police station on the 25th of February. That's exactly the big charge, the big revelation that has been made by the lawyer of the family today. And this is the biggest lapse. Should we already call it lapse? But this is the significant fact that has so far not been addressed by the Mumbai police, and this shows a huge gaping hole in the investigations. If the family felt that Rhea Chakraborty and Sushant Singh Rajput were going through a problem, if there was the fact that there was a complaint by the family against Rhea or drawing attention to something going amiss in their relationship.
The phrase was bad company, that he had fallen into bad company and they feared for his life. Now that should have set off alarm bells.
Feared for his life is the most important part. And if Rhea Chakraborty and Sushant Singh Rajput were going strong at that point in time, in a private conversation with the family, did Sushant Singh Rajput reveal this? What is the real fact in all of this is a very sensitive and crucial part of this investigation. Why has the Mumbai police not spoken about it so far is the big question.
Navika, 43 days have elapsed, and we are also being told that Sushant's family approached the police again on the day of his death, demanding a probe into Sushant's finances. That was a specific complaint that was also made. This is what we are now being told is something that was overlooked. Now, why was this overlooked? Yesterday, when we spoke to Dr. Subramanian Swamy, he came out and said, and he's taken a lead role in this case, and that's why we're raising him in the context of this story. We're raising his name in the context of the story. What did he say? He said that he was aware of deep linkages between the police and the ecosystem, which is Bollywood, and therefore he felt that there was always this perhaps unstated assumption in the police that, look, this will blow over. This will blow over. And Bollywood certainly didn't cover itself in glory by coming out, Navika, within hours of Sushant Singh Rajput's death by claiming that he was disturbed and that he needed help, and he didn't actually appeal for help, and they let him down, cementing this suicide angle.
Well, what is very, very clear at this point is that a 34-year-old doesn't just commit suicide just like that. If he had a medical history, then who was looking at that angle? And if there was a complaint that was filed which synchronizes with some of the medical history, then why was this not investigated? Why did the police not come forth with the February 25th claim? And why, despite the family's request to the Mumbai police, why did they not come forward and look at the financial irregularities angle? Rahul, what's most important is that Sushant Singh Rajput was not married. And Rhea Chakraborty was in a live-in relationship with him. No questions about raising morality issues at this point in time, because it's somewhat of a known fact in many parts of the country and the world as of this point. But it definitely has a bearing on the legal and the financial position of the man. Now, did Sushant Singh Rajput in any document say that his live-in partner was also part of his financial dealings? Did he sort of leave a power of attorney? Did he leave any admissions in the banks where he said that Rhea also had the option of using his accounts, his credit cards? Did he just give his credit cards and the PIN numbers for her to use? Why did he not give her an add-on card? There are many questions that come in an unnatural death.
Yes.
Why were these questions not looked at that point in time is a serious question raised by the family.
Viewers, let's listen in to Vikas Singh. He is now been hired as the lawyer for the family. Let's listen in. He's made this explosive claim and it really needs to be investigated.
She deliberately and over a period of time very calculatedly ensured that Sushant's father has no access to Sushant and he is not able to talk to him. Now, even as early as on 25th of February, that is prior to his death, the family had reported to Bandra police that he is not in good company and please ensure that nothing untoward happens to him. That is 4 months prior to his death.
That's significant, Navika. 4 months prior to his death, Vikas Singh comes out and says that he has been told by the family that on February 25th, they informed the Bandra police top officials that he's not in good company and they feared for his death. I mean, that should have set off alarm bells.
Absolutely. And, there are 2 or 3 questions that come in. One is, of course, the fact that the family said that this was because Sushant Singh Rajput was in bad company. What this bad company entailed, we don't know, and the police should have found out. And if there was any statement made on the mental situation of the family, did the police check with the family? Did the police check with Rhea Chakraborty? Is this an alibi that came in later? We don't know. The fact is that this has been virtually silent. And in fact, one of the statements made by one of the psychiatrists who looked at Sushant in the early periods even went on to say that he was going through a problem, but he was having some medicines without any prescriptions. Now, who was giving these medicines to him without prescriptions? These are important facts when you see an unnatural death being reported 4 months down the line, and also the financial transactions, extremely important. In this, whether it's involvement of Rhea Chakraborty, as the family says, or whether there were some big fish who were trying to keep Sushant Singh Rajput outside of the film world, why were they going ahead and succeeding in doing so without the police taking any cognizance of the complaint of the family? There are serious issues and serious questions that this investigation raises.
On the back of what Vikas Singh has told us, there are 4 clear questions, and let's go across also to our reporters. Why did the Mumbai police ignore the complaint if it was indeed a complaint of the suggestion and the seriousness that Vikas Singh is talking about? Was there pressure on police to ignore the complaint? Was Mumbai police asked to downplay the complaint? And if bad company was cited, did the police quiz those that were known to be very close to Sushant Singh Rajput? None of that happened in February. Kajal, what was holding the police back?
One of the things that I can think from the top of my mind is the general attitude that policemen have towards domestic disturbance sort of complaints, because this would fall under that category. And if his family had gone ahead and given the likelihood is that the cops did not pay much attention to it, and they in fact did not take the family seriously, and that is why they did not pursue the matter at all. And this seems to have led to the problems worsening and even compelled perhaps Sushant Singh Rajput to take the kind of steps that he had. We do know that he had mentioned in certain conversations with friends that he was not feeling very comfortable with the way things were going around. He had given specific instances about the kind of things that he wanted to do. For example, in the FIR also it is mentioned that he had wanted to do organic farming, but that had been objected. So there was a lot of murky business going around there, specifically with respect to the finances. That was an issue of contention between the couple. But one really needs to question that if the family had approached, why was it that the Mumbai police at that time didn't take the complaint seriously? And even if they didn't take it seriously, since the fact that there was such a complaint existent, why was that not a focus of the investigation once the death occurred?
Very important facts, Kajal, and you've been talking to a lot of people, but the issue here in the middle of all of this is also the financial transactions. And let's just put out the companies that existed even before February, when this complaint was made. There are two companies that were incorporated and both had 3 members. Company number 1, Front India for World Foundation. This is the company, Front India for World Foundation. This company, basic information, Front India for World Foundation is a private incorporated on 6th of January 2020. It is classified as a non-government company and is registered at the ROC Mumbai. It is authorized share capital is 1 lakh rupees and its paid up capital is also 1 lakh rupees. It is involved in social work activities. Directors involve Shawik Chakraborty and Sushant Singh. This is the brother of Rhea Chakraborty and Sushant Singh. So was Sushant Singh making his partner's brother a partner in his company? One would understand if the girl herself was a director in the company, but her brother was part of a company which had a paid up capital of 1 lakh rupees. Also, it says Front India for World Foundation's corporate identification number, etc. And it is registered at flat number 503 Sai Fortune, flat number 15, sector 8, Navi Mumbai, Panvel. Kajal, I want to come back to you and I want to ask you, what is this address? Is this any of the addresses previously where Sushant Singh Rajput was living, or Rhea Chakraborty was living, or the brother was living?
We do believe that this address is registered to someone related to Rhea Chakraborty. We had actually got pictures of this particular place, and it is registered in the name of Indrajit Chakraborty. One of the companies, there is one more company, that company Vivid Rage, that is actually registered in the flat which belongs to Indrajit Chakraborty. So yes, the family had some connections. We also spoke to some people in the neighborhood. They did say that Sushant used to visit that particular flat during festivities. So yes, Sushant and Rhea were connected to that flat, and that is where the company has been registered. Now, interestingly, there are reports that Rhea had very mysteriously resigned from the directorship of one of the companies just a few months before Sushant Singh's death. Was this perhaps the bone of contention? Was there something that was amiss when she resigned? All of these things need to be investigated, and the Bihar police is investigating these angles.
Well, Kajal, stay with me. Yes, this is company number 2, Vivid Rage Realities. And just look at the word reality, where Rhea comes right here, and she is a director. Rhea Indrajit Chakraborty as one of the directors, Sushant Singh and Shawik Chakraborty, and Chakraborty here is spelled with an S. That's Shawik Chakraborty, and this also has a 1 lakh share capital and 1 lakh paid up capital. This is also in the Panvel address, and Indrajit Chakraborty, Rahul, seems to be Rhea's father.
Yes.
Because Indrajit Chakraborty is the name, she uses in her own name, Rhea Indrajit Chakraborty, so could be her father. And in Front India, there is no name of Rhea. So was this the company where she was no longer a director? Did Sushant Singh ask her to go? Shawik Chakraborty here is listed as shareholder number 1 or director number 1. In the other company, it is Sushant Singh, Rhea, and Shawik is number 3.
Yeah, because the company Vivid Rage Reality X Private Limited was incorporated in September 2019, and that has Rhea Chakraborty there. The brother is also there, and once again the address of this company is a flat traced to Indrajit Chakraborty, who we believe is Rhea's father. Then the second company, when that was incorporated, was about 3 months later, 6 Jan, in which Rhea is no longer seen as a director. Now, there is obviously this omission. Is it, many people have also said that The money was important to the Chakrabortys because the young man, Shomik, his career was also at some level being supported. His prospects were being supported by Sushant Singh Rajput. So we don't quite know. There are many, many answers. But the point is, Navika, how is it that the Mumbai police could not pick up on all of this? That's the question.
You know, the question
Specific
will always be asked. The question will always be asked that was the Mumbai police, you know, at one level or the other, enjoying the parade of big
Yes,
film
circus
personalities that it was calling to the police station, whether it was Kangana Ranaut or Aditya Chopra or Karan Johar or Mahesh Bhatt. You know, they were calling these big names from Bollywood to come and appear before them, and were they more involved in all of that we have the power to sort of call these bigwigs and question and keep them on tenterhooks at one level? On the other, if there was a complaint, if these companies were functioning, if the family was talking about financial irregularities, why was that not spoken about by the Mumbai police at all?
You know, there are other people who have said that these were companies that were made, some sort of companies to whisk away Sushant Singh Rajput's wealth. Now, we don't know any of this. Viewers, it's all open to conjecture. We did go there to ascertain. Let's just put out those visuals and the report from the company. We went to that address. This is what we saw. Is there a walkthrough that we can play out? Indrajit Chakraborty? No, those are just the visuals. We managed to send our reporter there. That's what it says, 50C. It's the same address.
Indrajit Chakraborty.
Indrajit Chakraborty.
And Rhea uses the name right here,
Right.
Rhea Indrajit Chakraborty, and that's exactly the name that appears. So it seems to be her father.
Yes.
And the fact that she used to go there with Sushant on festivals could be borne out by the fact that her parents lived at that address. Now, also surprising in all of this, and Arunil, I want to come across to you on this. It was also stated in many reports that just before Sushant Singh Rajput passed away on the 14th of June, 13th, 14th night of June, the mother of Rhea and Rhea was staying in the same flat with the Sushant Singh Rajput till about a week before he passed away. Now, if the mother and Rhea were staying with Sushant Singh Rajput, were there family problems that existed in the relationship of the Chakrabortys? You know, these are issues, these are questions that needed to be asked.
Yes.
And the Mumbai police should have asked, was there a problem at that home?
Because the
Why
family...
was the mother living with the daughter here when the daughter is living with the Sushant Singh Rajput? Was that causing any strains in the relationship?
Sushant's cousin, Neeraj Kumar Singh Bablu, has come out and said that huge amount of money transferred into Rhea's account. The father has mentioned the transfer
In
of
his
money
complaint.
and talked about...
And he's talked about the numbers
also. Absolutely. That's exactly what I was about to say. Numbers are also been tabulated by them. So clearly there was something quite wrong, Arunil. So what really went on the ground?
Well, Rahul, when Times Now is asking these tough questions, what is baffling is like, why didn't the Mumbai police ask these tough questions to Rhea Chakraborty or her family? Basically, when the complaint was raised in February, that time they might not have reacted, but after the shocking demise of actor Sushant Singh Rajput, at least after that, the main accused should have been actress Rhea Chakraborty. At least the family is also mentioning about it, repeatedly saying that they were not happy with the investigation that the Mumbai police was conducting, and only because of that they filed a case in Bihar. With respect to the financial dealings as well, Rahul, money to the tune of rupees 15 crore were transferred to an unknown account not belonging to actor Sushant Singh Rajput, and also the two companies in which they were part of. The companies were supposed to be, the money was supposed to be actor Sushant Singh Rajput's, but the two partners were from the Chakraborty family, that is Rhea Chakraborty and the brother. And you can imagine the kind of impact the family was having on actor Sushant Singh Rajput, and precisely the family of Sushant Singh Rajput is clearly saying this. And now the legal recourse that Rhea Chakraborty and her legal team has opted for is saying that they want the entire probe to be conducted in Mumbai itself, They don't want the probe to be conducted in Bihar. Now, this is the same Rhea Chakraborty who some time back had said that they are not happy with the investigation in Mumbai and they want a CBI probe over here. Now, only because the Mumbai police is not asking her tough questions, the family now wants the Mumbai police to ask, to interrogate the entire matter.
Well, it's very clear that the Bihar police has now come into the entire equation, and Chief Minister of Bihar, Nitish Kumar, is in the picture. In fact, Dr. Subramaniam Swamy even speaking with the Chief Minister of Bihar earlier this morning. And we also spoke to Nilotpal Mrinal, who is the family friend of the Singh family, Sushant Singh's father, and we saw him earlier today taking the family of, in fact, taking the Bihar police to the sister's house, Sushant Singh Rajput's sister's house. Let's just go across and have a look at that particular sequence where Nilotpal Mrinal's car, it's a BMW, has the Bihar police in it, and he's accompanying them to Sushant Singh Rajput's sister. Listen.
Team from Bihar is also in the city of Mumbai probing the case. As you were close to Sushant Singh Rajput ji, so how do you look at the allegation against Rhea Chakraborty?
It's a true allegation.
Yes?
It's not an allegation, there is a fact. If money has come out and something has happened, it's a fact. Any police, whether it is Bombay or Mumbai, will not file an FIR without any proof or any documents. Everything is in black and white.
Rhea moved court saying that the investigation needs to be carried in Mumbai only. How do you
Right now, the FIR has done by his father in Patna, not in Bombay.
Yes.
So if she has to do something, she will have to do in Bihar, not in Bombay. It's not in Mumbai. The complaint or the accused in this case is his father, not Sushant Singh.
Well, those are the visuals of Nilotpal Mrinal accompanying the Mumbai police and taking them, in fact, the Bihar police, and taking them to Sushant Singh Rajput's sister's residence. And he says that it is a fact that money went out. It's not an allegation anymore. It should have been checked, and it hasn't been checked so far. So Priyank, this adds a financial twist, and the two companies that we are talking about, one involved in social work activities where Rhea Chakraborty is not involved. The second, where Rhea Chakraborty is involved, is a company that has been set up for activities which is maintenance of websites of other firms, creation of multimedia presentations for other firms, etc. So it's a multimedia graphics website maintenance kind of company that is Vivid Rage Reality, where Rhea and her brother are also there along with Sushant Singh Rajput. The fact that these companies were set up in the last 8 to 10 months, is this another angle that queers the pitch of the Mumbai police's investigation so far?
Yeah, certainly, Navika, because what the family members have stated in the complaint copy, which has now been converted in the FIR, that till 2019, Sushant's behavior with the family was very normal. And then these documents, which has been accessed by us, clearly shows that from January to February, the Chakraborty family started acquiring the wealth of Sushant Singh Rajput. And if you go by the statement, the 5th page of the statement of Sushant Singh Rajput's father, KK Singh, he has stated that Sushant wanted to start organic farming, and when he proposed this idea, Rhea Chakraborty allegedly threatened him that if you do so, I'll leak the papers pertaining to your medical report to the media. So suddenly Sushant wanted to move on from the life of Rhea Chakraborty. He wanted to start his fresh life, but Chakraborty's brother and sister were becoming partners in these two companies. Probably they would have attempted to make more company, but over the period of time that would have taken time. And that is a point which the family members have also highlighted, Navika, that the Kotak bank account of Sushant Singh Rajput had 17 crore rupee in it. What happened to those 15 crore rupees? The Mumbai police must have scanned the detail of all those bank account of Sushant Singh Rajput. What was stopping the Mumbai police? So the biggest question which is coming into my mind, that what was stopping Mumbai police? Why the 74-year-old man who has lost his son had to go to the Bihar police official pleading them that for 40 days I've been waiting for the Mumbai police to do something, but that has not been done. What was stopping Mumbai police is the biggest thing which anyone in the country would be imagining. And for that, what I have spoken to the DGP of Bihar, Mr. Gupteswar Pandey, he said that our case is pertaining to the new fact which has emerged after the statement which has been given by the family members of Sushant Singh Rajput, who are specifically talking that how Rhea Chakraborty was
the trouble is,
gradually,
Priyank,
according
that
to
the
the
same
family,
sort of accusation was made on the day, in fact, of Sushant Singh Rajput's alleged suicide. And I want to go across to Bhavtosh. Bhavtosh, clearly, given the lapses, I mean, I'm not jumping to any conclusions, but there are certain obvious things that could have been, leads that could have been looked into by the Mumbai police. They could have even filed an FIR. They hadn't done so. Does the case become stronger for an independent agency, perhaps the CBI, to step in here?
Rahul, right from the day when Sushant Singh Rajput killed himself, there has been series of lapses on the part of Mumbai police. Remember, within 2 or 3 hours, the crime scene photographs of his body were leaked to the media. Who leaked this? They said that they will conduct an inquiry. Nothing happened in that. And then after focusing on his close friends and acquaintances, suddenly after 30-35 days, Mumbai police started integrating the bigwigs in the film industry. Now, why this was being done? The investigation of Mumbai police is all over the place. It's completely going haywire. Are they probing a case of nepotism, or are they probing a case of alleged abetment to suicide? Things are not clear. The complaint that was given in February should have been taken on record by the investigating officers, and then they should have questioned Rhea Chakraborty and her family members. And because of all this confusion and the fact that there is virtually a turf war in Bombay between Patna police and Mumbai police, ideally Maharashtra government should order a CBI investigation so that an independent, neutral probe agencies take over the investigation, which has power and mandate to carry out investigation across the country.
But are they going to order a CBI investigation? Is it really going to be Sushant Singh Rajput's mystery that will be solved, or is it going to be an ego battle between Maharashtra police, and Mumbai police and the Bihar police? That's the big question. People in this country are asking for justice for Sushant Singh Rajput, because this is a young man from small town who went and made it big.
Yes.
He really did make it big. Everybody comes to Mumbai with stars in their eyes, but everybody doesn't reach the pinnacle of success as Sushant Singh Rajput had done. And then something happened. Something happened which disturbed that success of Sushant Singh Rajput. For those who talk about his mental illness, what about his mental illness when he was on his way up?
Yes.
And does a young man who is an engineer, who is not really somebody, who's just got up and come, is not aware of the ways of the world, he'd worked enough in Bollywood. The fact of the matter is, mental illness, at what time did it begin to affect him? And when there was a complaint by the family with the Bandra police, why was that complaint not taken on board? Could his death have been prevented if the Mumbai police had acted on time? And why has the Mumbai police not looked at the financial irregularities angle, which was pointed out by the family on day one when his suicide was reported? Alleged suicide. Was it really a suicide? Was there a financial
Big
angle?
questions. Big
was
questions.
there only Rhea Chakraborty involved? Were there others who were propping up Rhea Chakraborty?
Big
All
questions.
of these questions are questions that demand answers, that beg
And
answers
they
from
hang
the
in the
Mumbai.
air. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back to some of these big questions, more disclosures, viewers, and a very big guest coming up who could be considered an insider.
Welcome back, and let's get in our guest this evening, Vikram Bhatt, well-known director and somebody who's part of the big Bollywood fraternity and a member of the big Bhatt family. Vikram Bhatt joining us this evening. Mr. Vikram Bhatt, as an insider in Bollywood, you know, there is this whole debate that's going on about Sushant Singh Rajput's alleged suicide, which many people think was not a suicide at all. Now there is a new development in the case, and his partner, his girlfriend, Rhea Chakraborty, who's an actor in her own right, has been booked by the Bihar police, and the family has made a complaint and an FIR has been registered by the Bihar police. What do you think about this new twist to this entire case at a time when the Mumbai police was concentrating on summoning the bigwigs of Bollywood to investigate some angle, where even people like Mahesh Bhatt, Uday Chopra, Aditya Chopra and Karan Johar, etc., their companies were also being called?
So, there are two things. One is the truth and one is the perception of the truth. And one is the popular demand for a certain truth. I think that, at this point of time, we should all be responsible. We should desist from coming to our own conclusions. And if there is, I'm not saying that one should agree or one should, or have a character certificate for Rhea Chakraborty, or that one should not believe what the father is saying. All I'm trying to say is that if the matter has been handed over to, the law, then we must wait for the law to come to its conclusion. We should not be in a hurry to, castigate people.
Okay, well, the Mumbai police has taken 43 days, haven't even registered an FIR. Mr. Bhatt, Rhea was questioned, but nothing about the financial angle came out. There has been talk of misappropriation of funds, etc., etc. No one is saying that, Rhea is guilty as of now, obviously. But the fact is that there was an entire lobby that tried to suggest that there was nothing wrong, and Sushant Singh Rajput was in some way or the other depressed. He was going through mental issues, and that's how it all ended. So there was almost a reflexive attempt to shut the door and let matters be brushed under the carpet.
That is considering that we know everything that the Mumbai police has recorded. We don't know what the Mumbai police has recorded. At least I don't know what the Mumbai police has recorded. The Mumbai police might have recorded something like that, or might not have recorded something like that. It's very... see, let me tell you one thing. This has happened with me years back when I was dating a film actor, and she had a problem about money with her parents. I was pulled into it, and I was told that I have taken her money and I have robbed her money, which was completely untrue, which in time was proved. So all I want to say is that, we should not jump to conclusions. I don't have in front of me what the Mumbai police has recorded. So I can't say if there is any kind of omission from the police.
But Vikram Bhatt, how do you react to the fact that Mr. Mahesh Bhatt has sort of got her in a film called Jalebi, Rhea Chakraborty, and that just because of that, and because Rhea was then seeing Sushant Singh Rajput, he's been pulled into these investigations summoned by the Mumbai police. Do you think the Mumbai police has had all the details on their fingertips? How do you feel about the bigwigs being summoned?
Look, Mahesh Bhatt is the one you're talking about. When you mean Bhatts, there are no other Bhatts.
There is Mukesh Bhatt.
He has been my mentor. He has been my guide, my friend, philosopher and guide. And I have guided him, and he has guided me. on various occasions. But he hasn't told me that you will not go to anyone else but come only to me. He hasn't told me that you dare seek anybody else's advice. It really depends on me who I feel I should go and turn to for advice. You cannot hold me responsible for my choice of an advisor. You can't say that, because you chose X and you did not choose Y to take advice, you are therefore guilty. That's bizarre and absurd.
Well, look, I mean, there is no doubt that this particular case has reignited the insider versus outsider debate. And there are many who would want to work with legends. There is no doubt about that, A-listers, etc. So, there are many people who have an advantage. And can there be no smoke without fire in this particular case? Because many people are suggesting that the established nepotistic sort of clique in Bollywood wanted to see this young actor who was dreaming big and had achieved big things fail.
So first we must decide what do we think is the reason for his death? Do we think that the outsider bit was the reason? Do we think he lost hope on the Indian film industry and gave up on the industry and killed himself? Did he kill himself because he was going through something emotionally, mentally? Or did he kill himself because of his girlfriend? We cannot decide that. If he killed himself because of his girlfriend, then he did not kill himself because of the industry. If he killed himself because of the industry, he did not kill himself because of the girlfriend. So first of all, we must decide that. Secondly, I think they're being very unfair to Sushant Singh by saying that he killed himself because he felt like an outsider. I think we must at least think of him as a person with more strength. I have met him twice and he did not seem like a weak person to me. There are stories of a lot of people who have been outsiders and who have made it in the industry without working with Karan Johar, without working with Aditya Chopra. Ajay Devgan has never worked with him. Shahid Kapoor, who has seen his success, has not seen great success with them. Akshay Kumar has stood on his own. So I don't think that one or two people, I being an insider have almost been like an outsider since the year 2006. I haven't worked with any big star, and it's 2020, 14 years I've fed myself. So I don't think Sushant was as weak as to end his life because he felt like an outsider. I mean, I personally wouldn't think of him in those terms. Whether there is an outsider-insider thing, sure, there is. There is nepotism. There are people who are. There are cliques. There are camps. There are boycotts. Yes, there are. But I don't think that he was someone who would feel victimized and do this to himself. That is my personal opinion.
But Vikram Bhatt, you're saying, you're somebody who's met Sushant Singh Rajput, you're saying he wasn't somebody who was weak, he was not somebody who would end his life. So the real moot question now arises, was he driven to his suicide? And was it because of this clique business, or was it because of some individual? Isn't that what this investigation really should be all about?
I mean, if it is suicide, something drove him to it, right? All I'm trying to say is that he did not seem like a person to me that would... Look, I've read reports that he wanted to give up all this and go to Coorg. That's what I read this morning, and have a farm there, perhaps. A person who wants to do that is a person who doesn't care about this place, is a person who does not mind giving it all up and walking away. So in my personal opinion, it contradicts the statement that, he killed himself because he felt like an outsider. I think there are too many contradictions there, and every morning we wake up and we decide to believe the most sensational story about this unfortunate event.
True, but many, including the Bhatts, have said that they saw this coming. So aren't you contradicting yourself also? I mean, there's a contradiction when you say that, look, we can't say that he was weak, yet there were many people who said we saw this coming. You know, he was in a bad state. We knew of this and we knew that he was in a dark place, and I wish he had reached out, I wish he had not dropped out. So explain that.
Look, I have not been in touch with Mr. Mukesh Bhatt for a while now. So I don't know whether he saw it coming, whether he did not see it coming. It's not something he has discussed with me. So I don't think I'm in a position to opine on that. As far as Mahesh Bhatt is concerned, I don't think he said anything in the media or the press that I have read. The only interview I read was by his assistant Shurita, who had a point of view to give. But I think apart from the comment that Mr. Mahesh Bhatt has made to the police station yesterday, the day before, I don't think he has said anything else. He has been, people have contributed things to him, but he hasn't said anything. But
there are also allusions that have been made to Parveen Babi. Some people even say that the psychiatrist who Sushant Singh was referred to was also Parveen Babi's psychiatrist. All sorts of things that have been said, and Mukesh Bhatt also brought up Parveen Babi. You think it was an offhand comment? I mean, you know, if Mukesh Bhatt has said it, he must have his own reasons for it. I cannot, I cannot answer for him. But I don't think Mukesh Bhatt even knew Parveen Babi that well. I mean, he was producing a film with that. But I think it's more of an offhand remark that has been taken in the wrong sense. But at the same time, you know, at times like this, an offhand remark can be, very risky and dangerous. So I think his opinions are his own, and perhaps there's something that he saw or did not see. But since, as I said, I've not been in touch with him, I cannot answer for him. I can answer for Mr. Mahesh Bhatt because I am in touch with him, and I do believe that he has not had any opinion on this or said anything untoward.
Risky and dangerous. Well, it's certainly, this kind of narrative certainly set the police off in a very different direction. And for 43 days, they've been inviting questioning all sorts of top A-listers who came out and said that we saw this coming, etc., etc. I mean, did people jump the gun and start building a narrative that he was mentally weak and therefore he killed himself? I mean, at least concede that point, don't you think?
When such a huge tragedy takes place, it's not possible for people not to have their own opinions and own theories of why something like this might have happened. Some people might think that he is an outsider and that's why he did it. And we have seen videos and interviews to that effect. Some people might think that he is mentally ill, and that is why he did this. His family feels that he was in the grips of his lady love, and that's why he did this. So everyone has their own theories and everyone opines. Whether we should do this, whether we should not do this is too much of a sweeping statement, because how are you going to control the emotions? And all his fans want a CBI inquiry into this. So they have their own opinion. They feel that something is wrong. Some people think he's murdered, and so how are you going to stop all these people from having their opinions and say that let the investigation get over and have no opinion by then? It's impossible to do that.
But Vikram Bhatt, I want to ask you, soon after his death, there was a debate about a mafia that exists in Bollywood. Big stars have come out and spoken about it. Kangana Ranaut, the biggest name probably in Bollywood today, has spoken about it. But it's not just her. It's somebody who has the genius like A.R. Rahman, Rasool Pokuti. Both Oscar winners have given sensational music. Even they have felt the pressures of trying to get into Bollywood. And that's not a mean statement. A.R. Rahman finding it difficult? I mean, we're talking about a man who's a genius, who's been recognized internationally. Not many have been with an Oscar. You think they're just feeling something, imagining something that does not exist?
I know that there are a lot of production houses that only work with stars. There are a lot of production houses that will only work with star kids and not give newcomers a chance. I have faced in my life so many times when I have not had successful films that the ones who are going to work with me turn away. But you have to understand this is a terribly failure-averse industry. And it's failure-averse because nobody really knows what works. And everybody wants to be as safe as possible. But a mafia that doesn't allow anybody else to exist? I don't think so. I don't think anybody has the time to set about an agenda to boycott someone. At least that's not happened with me. But if these people say that it has happened with them, then it's quite likely that it did. And if that happened, it's pretty sad. But I believe that all these people have still made it. All these people, I don't think you can keep talent down. If there's real talent, then you can, it's like Nawazuddin Siddiqui, even at a later age, you will find yourself in this. And I always believe that nepotism is not about success. Nepotism is about opportunity. Nepotism is easy opportunity, not easy success. Because I have a long list of star kids who never made it. And they had the opportunities, but they never made it. So, that is my opinion, that nepotism is everywhere. It's everywhere. Why are we singling out the Indian film industry about nepotism? Isn't it in politics? Isn't it in business houses? Isn't it in cricket and sport? Why just the Indian film industry?
No one is singling it out. No one is singling it out, Mr. Bhatt. All we are suggesting is that, yes, there's another place where there's nepotism and it's killing merit, and it is leading to cases where young actors are taking their lives. We've seen a whole series of those unfortunate tragedies. We leave it at that. I just want to go straight across and open this out, this conversation. Minty Tejpal also joins us. There are, of course, others here with us. Nitiba Kaul, Big Boss contestant. Vandana Kohli, a lawyer. Let me first begin with you, Vandana Kohli. This case is a serious one, only because it seems to suggest that not only do outsiders have a problem breaking in, but more importantly, when it comes to getting justice, they are the last in the line, which only reinforces their outsider status. Ms. Kohli.
Rahul, just a small correction. I'm not a lawyer. I'm a filmmaker and a writer, but
sure.
That apart, to come to your question. Well, yes, I think you have a point there when you say that when it comes to justice, the outsiders are lost in the line. There's no doubt about that. And as Mr. Vikram Bhatt just said, I suppose that exists everywhere, wherever there is nepotism. I've been listening to him speak, and I've been listening to you asking your questions. I think they're all valid questions. My one point is, if I may, I don't think it's someone mentally weak who is driven to suicide. I think actually it takes a
lot of
to
guts.
be a lot of guts, a lot of anger, a lot of feeling, a lot of injustice. So there's a lot of passion there that leads someone to take their life. I think, depression is not something that happens. It's not a mental illness that you wake up one day and you're depressed. Depression always has a cause. And from the statements that have been coming, I think there is truth actually in both sides. I think there is truth in the fact that he was feeling there was a smear campaign. That's what his close friends have said. That's what the investigation has revealed so far. That's what Sanjay Leela Bhansali has said. So I think there's some truth there. At the same time, I think the questions that his family has brought about are equally valid. So I don't think it's one or the other, if I may.
No,
I think both sides have to be looked into.
No, but are we really looking at both sides? That's the real question. Because Nitibha Kaul, I want to ask you, are both sides being looked into? Not even an FIR has been registered by the Mumbai police 44 days after this demise of Sushant Singh Rajput, and questions have been raised by the family from day one. And this is what his lawyer says. And the fact is, there are financial dealings, there are complaints about companies being incorporated, there are complaints about another individual who was the partner of Sushant Singh Rajput. If he was going through a depression, why did she leave the house 6 days before this? People are asking these questions, and so far, we don't know how close the Mumbai police is to these answers because it hasn't even registered an FIR. Do you think we have the confidence that this investigation is going in the right direction?
Well, all I'd like to say is that all of these allegations are very, very serious, and they're based on a host of suspicious circumstances that are surrounding this case. And if this truly is a abetment of suicide, then I believe we really need to delve deeper. We do not have the luxury of working on assumptions here, because this is a serious topic, and if Rhea Chakraborty is involved in any way possible, then the guilty must be convicted. And in December, I read somewhere that Rhea made Sushant Singh Rajput change his phone number so that he could cut off from his family. And because he was going through a host of mental health issues, she was also threatening him apparently to, leak into the media all of the details of his mental health problems, which is why I think there was a point, as Mukesh said, that he was planning to go to Coorg, which seems very off. Like, there are a lot of things which are completely off and not making sense, and I feel like the police needs to get down to it, and the Mumbai police completely ignoring this case and not taking any serious action is completely shocking.
It's a good point. I mean, at the end of the day, there are many unexplained questions. We need answers. And I don't know why the Mumbai police has held itself back, or who's holding them back.
Sorry, is that to me?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, Rahul, I've been hearing the conversation all throughout. And I guess this is the nature of the beast here. When you have a celebrity death, of a very popular person like Sushant, there are all kinds of theories being thrown up. And we all lead very fractured lives. If any of our lives came to an end suddenly, there'd be 8 different strands out. So I think we need to wait for the police to finish the investigation and really come to, give us the right answers. And abetment to suicide is not going to be very easy to prove, because it's very difficult to know what goes on in somebody's mind. We're all really speculating about the cause, whether it's nepotism or failed love affair.
Minty Tejpal, every word of what you're saying is absolutely true, but at the same time, I want to ask you, 44 days have passed. Do you get a sense of confidence that the investigation is actually happening? Because what we've seen so far is a parade of VVIPs being called by the Mumbai police. We haven't heard of, even Rhea Chakraborty is being called, but till the father brought this up in a complaint, questions are being raised why an FIR was not registered by the Mumbai police, why section 174 complaint was being looked at, why the financial angles, why the phone angle was not looked at. Those are the questions that you're saying that we should wait for the investigations. But the moot point is the investigation in the right direction?
It's not a very long time. In a death like this, 45 days is not a very long time. There are cases, it takes a long time for the police to investigate. And if they're going to charge sheet somebody, if it's not a suicide, if they have to prove a case that is a wetment to suicide or a murder, they have to have irrefutable proof. And that's not easy to stand up in a court of law. We must remember that.
Ashish Dixit, should we just say that the police, has a complaint and it's looking at it, and if they have to prove something,
but even
they
if
need to have...
If a probe has to be undertaken, an FIR has to be filed.
What about the FIR not being filed?
There's an ADR, but no FIR. And that's where the complication is. Well, look, we're just going to have to leave it